We have had the Nakshatra Rashi model. Our ancestors, they observed that every day the moon appears over the eastern horizon at a slightly different time, maybe 40 minutes later, 48 minutes later. And therefore, if it is evening time, you can see the stars, right? When the moon appears in the evening in the sky, what star is there in that section of the sky? Tomorrow, 48 minutes later, the moon rises, it's in a different backdrop of the sky. Our ancestors saw it takes 27 days for the moon to return to the same backdrop of stars. So they divided the entire ecliptic into 27 segments of 13 and 1/3 degrees each. 13 and 1/3 is the amount that the moon traverses in the sky in a 24-hour period. Don't mistake revolution of the earth along rotation of the earth with this. As the earth is rotating, it appears that the moon is also rising and setting. But today at 8 o'clock at night, you see that the moon is there. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock at night, you'll see the moon has fallen behind by 13 and 1/3 degrees. So there is the path that the moon traverses in the sky in a 24-hour period. So our ancestors divided that into 27 segments, and they gave the mnemonics. You have to understand what that star is, right? So they gave a beautiful mnemonic saying that Chandra married the 27 daughters of King Daksha, and they gave the names over here: Chitra, Visheka, Jeshta. These are all the wives of the moon. And they said that the moon would visit one wife every day. And the idea was that we'll traverse from one to the other. The stories in India on the nakshatras help us to remember which nakshatra will come after the next. So you have a wonderful idea of which is the star going to follow the next. You have immediately a beautiful image of the sky and what is going to happen. So this is what our ancestors did. And to track the passage of the sun, they had the Rashi model. They divided the sky into 30-degree segments, and each of that was called a Rashi. This is the family of Rashis that we have. And whenever a full moon appears over a certain nakshatra, that lended the name for the lunar month. For example, if the full moon appeared over the Chitra nakshatra, that month was called the Chaitra Masa. Okay? In some parts of India, they use the Paurnami, the full moon, northern India. In some parts of India, they use a full moon, Amavasya. That was the beginning of the lunar month. That is why you find an offset here. The Chaitra month over here is different from the Chaitra month. Slight offset is there because a different calendar system, north and south, you find that. But bottom line, Indians mark the passage of time by looking at the sky. Sky was a celestial calendar, celestial clock on the basis of which life was regulated on earth, literally. And these are the names of the nakshatra in two of our ancient books, Vedanta Jyotisha, Surya Siddhanta. And when the British came to India, they asked the Pandits what each of these nakshatras are, and they identified that with their own Western constellation names. For example, Kritika is Pleiades, which is Lambda Tauri, Eta Tauri. Rohini is Aldebaran, which is Alpha Tauri. Mrigashirsha is the Orion, which is Lambda Orionis, so on. My own nakshatra is Revati, which is Zeta Piscean, and so on. That is how today we can identify what are these nakshatras that our Indians knew about based upon this mapping that we have over here. This model is so ancient that all over India we follow the same nakshatra Rashi model. Whether it is in Sanskritam, Telugu, Kannada, Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, the names are the same. In Tamil, slightly changes. Ardhra becomes Thiruvadirai, Ashlesha becomes Ailiam, things like this. This tells you how ancient this model is. If something is so old, it has had time for regional divergences. For example, today in our lexicon, we might have a word like computer, right? So all Indian languages will refer to it as computer. But maybe 200 years from now, maybe Punjabi will have a different word for computer, Tamil will have a different word for computer. So divergences start. So divergences tell us how ancient this model is. But I want you to pay attention. Pan-India, we have got the same astronomical model. That is the message that should go into your minds. This is what we have.